The views, thoughts, and opinions expressed in the podcast belong solely to the hosts and not the host's past, present, or future employers. Welcome back, everybody. This is Brian for Breaking Down Security. This week, we are sitting down, Mr. Betcher, Miss Berlin, and myself. We're just going over some news stories this week. Some very interesting things you might have missed. I scoured the internet news aggregation lists for things that may have flown under the radar. I think we talked in this one about some supply chain issues. We talked about some hackers doing some good work in DHS, trying to find vulnerabilities for vulnerabilities that are in the DHS network. We also talked a little bit about some open source issues. There's some more protestware out there. This podcast will represent 45 minutes of a 2-hour stream that we did. And if you are interested in checking out the remaining amount of time that we did, which included some other news, we actually spent half an hour talking about Miss Berlin's trip and our trip and some other stuff. We're trying to be a little bit more personable, a bit more engaging from everybody. But if you are interested in checking out the full 2 hours, you can find it online on twitch.tv/breaksec. We called it the April 24th news segment. We'll also have it on our YouTube channel here in the next, day or two. So if you want to catch all 2 hours of that, you definitely can do that. I would also, at the end of our stream, Black Sheep Cyber came on, so who rated our stream. So for those of you who don't know what that means, it's a good thing. We're building community by helping other Twitch streamers get the ability to gain an audience. So Black Sheep Cyber did a nice thing by sending all of his listeners when he was done with his stream over to us. So I spent the last half hour talking with people and hanging out and just discussing security and other various things and reviewing some of the news that we'd talked about in their previous hour and a half. So some very good insights, a couple of news stories that we didn't include on this because I know people are cognizant of their podcast time and did not want to put an hour and a half worth of news on here. So 45 minutes is going to be our maximum. And if you are interested, yes, check out our YouTube stream, which there'll be a link in the show notes. Also, check out our Twitch stream. We're doing some regular bits with Try Hack Me, Hack the Box, and other things. Also, some OSCP prep vulnerable VMs as well. So we've got some other things coming up. Got some discussions with some folks on malware analysis. So we'll be doing some video and some streams on malware analysis. And I also want to do some non-InfoSec related items on our Twitch stream. So maybe some role-playing games, maybe have a game night. Maybe we'll figure out how to watch Hackers or some other, Hollywood-made InfoSec-esque hacker movies or something. But we're looking to do some more stuff with the stream. So come and check it out. Hope you enjoy the show this week, and give us a like on iTunes or Google Play or your favorite podcast platform if you found value in our analysis of the news or any of the other 500 episodes of the podcast that we've done over the last 8 years. So hope you have a great week, and I'll be back after our 45 minutes. So the first one I wanted to maybe go through was the top one there where hackers are finding vulnerabilities in the bug bounty program. They said more than 450 security researchers working through the Department of Homeland Security's bug bounty program identified 122 vulnerabilities, 27 of which were deemed critical according to a DHS statement. Yeah, me too, Warhead. Warhead says, I'm really happy to see the amount of InfoSec streamers in the last year or so. I just wish that the number of InfoSec streamers had also similar numbers of InfoSec watchers. We have, for about 9 years now, it's been like, hey, we do a podcast, and somebody's like, I don't like listening to podcasts, So
I know we have a lot of downloads though.
yeah, we do
Like
actually, and
we have
I
a
don't know what
lot of
happened.
downloads.
Yeah, I actually hastened this stream thing because we were down about 25%. I couldn't figure out why. We were on Apple, we're on Google, we're on Spotify, we're on all these other things, TuneIn Radio, and
It was the
for about
pandemic,
3
man.
was it?
Yeah, nobody. I mean, I stopped because I don't have a drive. I don't drive anywhere anymore.
Oh,
Like I would listen
see,
to podcasts when I drove.
Yeah.
I do walks every day, so I got to listen to something. So I'm listening to actual role playing games. I'm listening to Risky Business. I actually got some Darknet Diary stuff I was listening to. So, but yeah, I've been I've been burning through shit left and right, which is why I've got project management stuff. I'm listening to video episodes of Manager Tools and stuff back like 15 years ago when they first started. But yeah, got to listen to something
If
when
you
you're
want
walking
more,
10 kilometers a day.
I highly recommend the psychology podcast.
Psychology podcast?
It's just called the psychology. It's very good.
The psychology podcast, huh?
Yeah.
Okay, psychology podcast. You heard it here first. The psychology podcast with Scott Barry Kaufman.
Yep.
Okay.
Real good.
There's a link. I'm putting that in the stream chat, so y'all can check that out if you'd like to. I'll also put it in our show notes, which will be accompanying the podcast. So there you go. Anyway, so good InfoSec streamers like Al Hazard gets a good amount of views. He averages 175, which is pretty good. I actually saw a Spanish stream the other day get like 700 followers. They were talking about security and something else. My Spanish is a little rusty, so I don't know if they were actually talking about security, but they had like 800, 700, 800 streamers, listeners at the time. So it was pretty cool. The agency's awarding up to they awarded 125,000 participants for finding and identifying vulnerabilities. But I don't know in what they found them in. So in 2016, July, President signed legislation requiring DHS to develop a bug bounty program within 6 months. Okay, so that happened. There maybe is log4j vulnerabilities that they'd found this in, but they said the statement did not disclose vulnerabilities that were found, nor did it share any information about fixes for the bugs. Under the original plans, the agency would verify the flaws within 48 hours of being notified and fix them within 15 days. So it sounds like it's just regular software that is being developed by the DHS, maybe?
Or websites and stuff.
Yeah, it could be web applications that they've built. Yeah, bug bounty programs seek to. Yeah,
especially with log4j stuff.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Critics of such programs worry that unscrupulous researchers could sell the vulnerability on the black market for more than the 5,000 DHS cap, or take the vulnerability to the software vendor. Okay, so it does sound like it's more than just web apps. There's some software vendors involved. We may find some additional bits here. So, do your companies have bug bounty programs? Mine does. Mine has several, depending on the different departments.
No, we're not mature enough yet.
Okay, so
Okay,
go ahead.
My company, the company I work for, is relatively new.
Okay.
Security team's been in place a little over a year, and we do have a bug bounty program. Now, granted, it's not much, right?
Right.
5,000 here, 10,000 there. Maybe our budget's about $10,000, but we still have one. It's still worth it to implement, because you never know, somebody might find this critical flaw in your website and that you never knew about.
Right.
And I think it could pay huge dividends. It could be a really good investment, even if it's only like 10,000.
Right.
That's my thoughts on it.
Well, okay. So here's the question. So I'm assuming you have developers, Mr. Betcher. what percentage of their time is earmarked for incoming triage of vulnerabilities? So you have a bug bounty program, yes. What is the process there for, fixing those things? Or, what happens if you find an, oh my God, critical, and it's like, well, we can't get to it till next week because we're in the middle of a sprint. How much of their time is earmarked for handling incoming triage?
None is earmarked, but if there is a critical one that comes from a vulnerability, like something they just released or something that just came out in the industry, or a bug bounty that's critical, I think they have 7 days to actually fix it and deploy if it's a critical one. And we have different levels. Like if it's a high, maybe 14 days, medium, a month, something like that. So yeah.
Right.
So yes, it's more like, hey, you have to fix this. I don't care if you're in the middle of a sprint or you've got Bob's on vacation or whatever. Yeah, it's got to get done.
Right. Ms. Berlin, you say that you're not mature enough. I don't want to ask what's standing in your way because that's, secret sauce, but I mean, there has to be a certain level to want to do so. So, what are some of the hazards or some of the things that you would like to see in that, or what, from a bug bounty point of view?
I mean, we've talked to people on the podcast, right, about how not to do bug bounties. And there's a lot of horror stories about you get this just barrage of stuff that nobody knows how to handle or prioritize or how to fit into your workflow. And it's just like, we didn't want to just turn on a bug bounty program. Like this isn't any of my decision making or anything, just based off of what I kind of infer. But yeah, like it's a big deal to like commit to that. And we're still really young, right? So we don't really have even that many employees. So we don't want to say we can run a bug bounty program and like fail to do so, right? I mean, you don't want to be like, oh yeah, we have a bug bounty, and then like you just never get back to people, or you just you can't make it through all of the reports or whatever. Like you want to make sure it's really, really well planned out.
Yeah, you almost need to have a dedicated incident response light team that can triage and handle that. It seems like it's, they have to decide whether or not it's worthy to go through. I mean, otherwise you're hoping that your blue team has enough wherewithal to, know how to triage these and know who to raise it to. I mean, we have a handful of security people in the whole company. So we have like our CTO, we have the IDEs, which like we do IR for our customers, and we also create detections, and we also do webinars and all of the other security content. So we don't really have, like, all of our developers are into security stuff because they code securely and do all the testing and all of that stuff. But yeah, do they code securely?
They do. They're real good. Yeah, surprisingly.
Okay.
I mean, as far as I know.
Yeah, I'm going to be taking a class next week for a program that will enable me as a TPM to verify that certain applications, services, and devices in my company are good to go before they get shipped out. And it was something that I had resisted because I was like, well, I don't know how much additional time it's going to take or whatever, but it's interesting to see that stuff because, you said that they code securely. My problem is a lot of the people who do this program are not necessarily security related. So I have to temper the Uber security guy versus, what is going to take to actually get it, pushed out or what have you. So the longer I work at this place, go ahead.
Oh, no, I go ahead, finish.
No, I was going to say the longer I work at this place, the more I realize the need for proper negotiation of security versus business. If you try to be, Alcatraz level security, nothing's going to get done, nothing's going to get shipped, and you're just going to piss off everyone who isn't a security person. You may be correct, but you're not going to be making any friends. I've become more pragmatic in my old age and where I work. So yeah.
I don't know. I think we were fortunate because we started from nothing.
Right.
Right. We could
Right.
build the infrastructure, and like our CTO is crazy smart. He's been the lead developer. He's, you know, he can hack like crazy. He's really good. And yeah, I think we're just fortunate to be able to start it from scratch, like
That's cool.
infrastructure, like with security in mind.
Right.
And like everything's in the cloud. Like
Yeah,
nobody
that's
we don't have
rare.
anything on prem.
Yeah.
Because usually it's, okay, so we got breached. Now we need to implement a security program because the lawyers told us to, right?
Right.
That's usually how it works. Or the judge, yeah, whatever it was.
Yeah. And like we've talked about with bug bounty programs before. You can do them right, or you could do them very, very, very wrong in this case. So it makes a lot of sense. So
yeah, it's one of those on the roadmap things.
Right. Yeah. My group that I'm working on right now, one of the things that we're going to have to set up is a bug bounty program. And I told my management, I told the development teams, I was like, look, we just need to go and talk to the other half a dozen people in this organization and departments that already have one in place and just use whatever it is they've got. We don't need to try to reinvent the wheel. Maybe we can piggyback on what they're doing to make it easier for us. So,
Right.
Cool. So they found 122 vulnerabilities, 17 of which were high, and it was 450 researchers. So that was less than almost 4 people per vulnerability. So that's not a okay, I don't want to say that's not a very good ratio, but with 450 security researchers, you would have thought maybe they would have found more than 122 of them, or,
Who knows what the scope is?
Yeah, that's true.
That's fair.
And
That's fair. That's fair.
there may not be more than 122 to be had, right?
Right. And
it's musical
scope and
chairs.
time and what? Yeah.
Yeah, how many? Maybe there was a bunch of duplicate report.
Right.
Who knows?
Right. And there may have been a low enough bar that people are just trying to dip their toe into this. So this may be if you're working for a Bug Crowd or a HackerOne or something out there, it may not be in your best interest to get $5,000 for this. Where if HackerOne or Bug Crowd has a maybe it's a different bounty for this vulnerability for HackerOne versus the DHS. The $5,000 vulnerability may be worth 25 on HackerOne because the company that you found it with may have a different way to go there. So okay. So let me see. What was the outcome of this? The enthusiastic participation by the security research community during the first phase of Hack DHS enabled us to find and remediate critical vulnerabilities before they could be exploited. DHS Chief Information Officer Eric Heisen said in a statement. Cool. Okay. Well, hopefully they'll continue doing those, and let people know that those are happening. And, if anything, it's making the government or the systems the government use more secure. So, maybe that's a good thing. So, all right, next, I'm going to turn off my bookmarks. Not that I'm ashamed of them. Oh God. Yeah. This one came out today, I think.
All Jira issues are always a Jira server, like on-prem stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't want to say all, most of them.
Right.
So my question on this is it like when you have Jira, when you use Jira, is it your own implementation and you're responsible for updating it, or does it automatically get updated?
We use the cloud version.
Yeah, they have a cloud version. Like it's like WordPress. You can either have your standalone version on your little server in the corner over here, or you can have the on-prem or the in-cloud version, which constantly gets updates. This is in something called Seraph, which I've never heard of. We sadly use Jira
Isn't
at
that
the
the
office.
thing that you like? Was it like
Jira
a cape
Seraph.
thing that girls wear?
Oh, it's a pluggable J2E. So Seraph is it says very simple, pluggable J2EE web application security framework. So it's the web application security framework that has the auth bypass in it. Great.
Nice.
Okay. Yeah, great. So the security tool actually has the vulnerability. Lovely. Seraph is based around the number of core elements, all of which are pluggable in the framework. Security service calculates the roles required to process a particular request. Interceptors allow you to run code before and after security events under the servlet. So it's a bunch of Java stuff, obviously. There's a link. An authenticator authenticates a user against a backend user system. I'm guessing that might be the one that has the issue. The controller governs whether security is enabled or disabled globally, and the role mapper, this maps broad security roles against security in your application, e.g. Groups and or application specific permissions. So this is allows a remote unauthenticated attacker to bypass authentication by sending a specially crafted HTTP request. This affects Atlassian Jira servers and data center versions before 8.13.18.
Yeah.
Good E. Awesome. So the base score has not been provided yet.
There's a lot of people too that just have their Atlassian Jira logins on the internet.
Yeah.
There's a lot of them.
Be afraid. Be very afraid. Well, I do apologize if you're listening to this stream while you're fixing the issue because your weekend got ruined. Because this came out today, or this news article came out today. Pierluigi Paganini wrote about this, and the CVE was issued on the 20th, so it's 4 days old. The published date was 4 days old, but they just got to it, I guess, today. So
a seraph is also a celestial being with 3 pairs of wings.
Yep. Now wait, is it 3 pairs of wings? So six wings total.
Yes.
Okay.
And it's from Hebrew.
Right.
Burn, fiery servant.
Right.
Interesting. Yeah. This is a very educational podcast.
Hey, I love it. That's something I didn't know before. So I'm trying to find out if they have any. Oh, here's a workaround. Okay, so installing a fixed version of Jira, or Jira Service Management is the surest way to remediate 2022-0540. If you're unable to install a fixed version,
disable it.
uninstall your Jira. Uninstall Jira.
Oh man, that just gives me
RM-RF Jira.
Oh gosh, that gives me anxiety. I've messed up so many things in Jira. Like only one really bad time, and I deleted an entire sprint's worth of work from another team.
Oh my god. Well, they Jira.
We weren't doing backups.
You weren't doing backups.
No, because I just figured that it's the cloud; they'd automatically be turned on.
Yeah.
Oh no.
Right.
I mean, you would think. I mean,
yeah.
Right.
Just reverse
There's not
to
a trash. There's not a trash somewhere that I can just undelete those.
That's right. Yeah. I'll just go to the recycling bin and uninstall. Yeah.
There's
undelete.
not.
Yeah. Oh gods.
Restore.
That's very similar. Atlassian had something earlier this month where they had a script that would be like deleting things, and they had apparently somebody fat fingered in the wrong list, and instead of using the list of don't delete these and the list of delete these, somebody used the don't delete these, and deleted almost like 400 customers. So it was going to. Is this the Amanda Berlin, the author? Yes. Yes, Digital Warhead. This is Amanda Berlin, the author. how are you not promoting her book on stream? Yes, we have promoted it numerous times when it came out.
Come on,
Welcome.
Brian.
Welcome to the audio podcast. But yes, she's actually currently working
The one and
on the
only.
second edition. She is working on the second edition of this with her colleague, who we're going to kick in the teeth if he doesn't get started helping out with that, and helping out in terms of coming out and helping here on the stream. He needs to come on the stream and help out.
It doesn't help because we both really do not like our new editor.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
not great.
You know, we should invite him on the podcast and then say, okay, for the next 2 hours, you just work on that book and you'll put
This is a
yourself
2
on
hour
mute.
working meeting.
And yeah,
This is a
we'll
2 hour
do the
working
podcast
meeting.
and everything. You just don't listen to us. Just, you know,
Yeah, we're
work
just
on
going to
that.
sit here and stare at you for 2 hours while you guys work. So just
Oh gosh, that's dangerous.
yeah, no, Digital Warhead, absolutely. Defensive Security Handbook, available at all your friendly O'Reilly bookshelves, virtual or otherwise. Go get it.
I still have
do
yet
know
to find it in a physical bookstore, but
you still have
there was
it?
a library that had it once. And around here, like I'm in
Oh,
middle of
true.
nowhere.
You know
Right.
what? I
I'm
should
gonna
go
look when
check
I go
our
to San
local
Francisco.
library. I should go check our local library and see. Yeah.
Cleveland Library has 4.
Okay. Cleveland Library has 4. Wow. Hey, you know what? You should go in and autograph them.
I want to. That's why I've been looking for them. Seriously, I've been looking every bookstore ever, and I really just want to like ninja autographed one.
That's awesome.
And
Yeah.
Hope
Yeah.
to not get in trouble.
Yeah. So for those of you who want to go get the porcupine, doink, there you go. Go
But
grab
I
that.
would wait.
Yeah, this is version 2.1. Version 2 is currently in the works. Will hopefully
It'll
be
be
out
like
soon.
October-ish.
Yeah, if once she can yeet her current editor into the sun, that maybe.
I miss Courtney so much.
That you know what, you could just reach out and say, hey, I need a second opinion.
She's at LinkedIn now.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm sorry. That happens.
That's okay.
But
That's all right. I'll survive.
yeah. So it not to change the subject back to the Jira thing, but they do have a big
No, it's
red
fine.
box. No, they do have a big red box here that says do not in big capital letters disable Insight asset management on the following versions. In these versions, disabling Insight management causes all Jira service management to be disabled. So if you disable the Insight asset management portion with the versions that you're running, 419 or 420, you will pretty much disable your Jira interface. So
That's
I
great.
actually prefer these kinds of write-ups to how Oracle does things, which is nothing at all. Having mitigations or workarounds is great, and they should be able to tell you that, other than just the same old spiel every time. So so they've actually, here's a Jira ticket for it. Authentication bypass. Yeah, they made a Jira ticket for a Jira vulnerability. There you go.
Yeah, you can just add it to your sprint.
We just incepted, man. We're just inception right here. Oh, they're calling the
Yeah.
CVSS score a 9.9 internally here. So yeah.
Wow.
Ba-dum-bum. Wow. Attack vector, network, complexity low, privileges required low, user interaction none, scope changed. Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
So 6 hours ago. So there are people who are having their weekends run by this. So they're actively updating the tickets that are in that notification or that advisory. So that's kind of cool. So yeah, go check that out if you're you can watch it like GitHub, where people telling you it works as expected or doesn't work as expected or what have you. So all right, so I'm going to put that sub link right here. Which next one do we want to go through? Cyber insurance or risk one?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. Cyber risk is the best language. Okay. So this is from Coal Fire. I know some folks over there, which is pretty cool. I put this one in only because I'm dealing more with people like CISOs and cybersecurity leaders and management, and I'm really starting to see how they treat security risk. They don't treat it necessarily in the same way that the person in the help desk do, and trying to tailor that messaging is very important to get them to care. And it's not that they don't care. It's just they're like, well, what do you want me to do about it? I'm up here, not down here, and
Sure.
sometimes it's
you can tie risk to like your bottom line way easier.
Oh yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it says key takeaway, executives understand that risk equals potential loss of revenue. So
Right.
risk equals impact, which is monetary, times the probability that it would occur. And so that's how you calculate your risk. And so I don't know a C-level or anyone on the board of directors. I cannot imagine that they don't understand risk.
Right.
Right? They may not understand cybersecurity that well, but they certainly understand what risk means.
Right.
And so you put it into their language. Okay, we have this vulnerability. All right, what's a vulnerability, all about? Cyber vulnerability. I don't understand. Well, you say, well, the risk is $2 million. And they're like, oh, okay. So $2 million. That means your yearly budget, that risk, that vulnerability could cost you $2 million per year, right? And it may be that the probability is 20%. So that means that the cost of that particular event actually happening would be $10 million. So over a 5-year period, right?
Well, that's that quantitative risk analysis stuff that we've all learned in the CISP courses. It's like, yeah, what's the risk of this happening? It's 80% and will cause $10,000 worth of damage or something like that. A lot of my nuance with this has been more along the lines of, especially when you get PR involved, because PR has to deal with the media and stuff. It's a reputational thing, and I came from a place where I was like, nobody really gives a shit about reputation anymore. But there are people inside companies that still believe reputation is a thing that can be damaged. What I think some of those folks don't realize is
no, reputation is a thing that can be damaged in, I guess, most companies. I mean, if you own a company, you're a CEO or something, you care about that brand. I mean, that brand could be everything.
Well, okay,
right?
let me
If
ask
that
you
brand
this.
is damaged.
If you look at like how it used to be like 3-4 years ago and earlier, like when big breaches started first hitting the news, like sure, reputations were damaged a little bit, stock prices plummeted, but then they always come back up.
They do.
Right.
Like how, like most, I don't know how many companies have even like suffered long-term impacts.
I'll give you a scenario. Let's say you're a small company and you want to go public, which a lot of private companies do.
Sure.
So you get a breach and you're going to get the funding that comes in is going to cost you so much more as an organization.
Fair.
So those investors will tear you apart.
Yep.
Just to get more out of you, to say, oh, well, you're going to have to double our equity, because you're higher risk.
Yeah. Right.
Well, and as we saw when Verizon was buying Yahoo got breached
Ooh, there you
in
go.
the window.
That's a good one.
And they lost $30 million of value there. There's a lot of people that, the reputation hit is not so much. I keep going back to Oracle, but people inside Oracle probably think that Oracle has a good reputation. But when you're looking at Oracle from the outside, does Oracle have a good reputation? you know.
Well, maybe not to us, but to Fortune 500 CEOs who might think about partnering with Oracle as a vendor. You know, they might have a good reputation there. I mean, we're looking inside, we're coming from our box.
Right.
I don't know. They might have
I
a
mean,
good reputation where it
and
matters.
you know, the folks that worry about the reputation stuff also worry about the backlash in the media.
Yeah.
Some of you know who I work for. You know, anytime we put out something, the PR people always ask us, well, what's the blowback going to be from the media on this? Because, you know, we have to do damage control. We have to do incident response when, you know, somebody does something in the media and says something negative about us. We have to have a response ready to go in terms of Q&A, or, you know, making sure that if, you know, our, you know, Joe Bob Billy, our CTO, gets on to a call with somebody to talk about, you know, something else, and you know, that person drops a bomb about, hey, what about this thing? And, you know, having to answer those questions. So sometimes incident response isn't security incident response, it's press response, or press, you know, what blowback you're going to get from that, and to make sure that your own senior leadership is ready for that. But yeah, I mean, that's risk that you have to communicate, not just to your senior folks, but to PR, to legal, or, you know, and it's hard to codify that stuff, right? You know, you know, oh yeah, you know, the risk is this isn't going to ship for 6 months, or the risk is that this product that the customer was asking for is not going to go in, so they may not buy it. So like you said, Mr. Betcher, with, you know, they're going to lose $2 million. Yeah, this product may not be as popular as it was going to be because we can't do Y or Z or whatever. So
As a
yeah,
CISO, you could say, okay, we're going to release this new website, and it should bring in 30, you know, let's say $100,000 in revenue,
right,
right? But you calculate the risk because of the exposure that it gives you, and it may cost you $120,000 in
right,
lost revenue. That would be the
right,
risk. So do we release? You know,
right. Yeah. Yeah, and you know, you're absolutely right about the relationship stuff. If it makes it harder for you to partner with other folk, that's something people are going to wonder about. They're gonna care about that. Both sides will. So yeah, that's definitely something. So so they had what, 3 things here: accurately assess cyber risk, conducting formal risk assessment. You know what? I'd love to see, like, let me see, cyber risk assessment. Okay, yeah. So, you know, Coldfire's got some, you know, adware here, not adware, but ad stuff on their website talking about, you know, helping you with enterprise risk framework stuff. I was hoping for more of like a checklist, or, you know, a 10 item list that you could go and look at. Analyze vulnerabilities, threats that could exploit these vulnerabilities for identified assets. A lot of this stuff is very low to the, you know, in the trenches kind of stuff, not up at the top so much. Assess for risks known to be outside of the organization's risk appetite. So should you bring a risk to somebody if it's a low risk? Is there a threshold for you to go, yeah, there's a risk, but it's going to be extremely low and extremely outside the chance of it occurring? Or should you just say, yeah, all risks, no matter how, you know, severe or not severe, should be shared?
you should bring that into your overall measurement. So you should say, okay, the risk to the organization from a security perspective, from a cybersecurity perspective, is this amount. All right. And if challenged, or if you want to break that down even further, you can go into the criticals, highs, mediums, lows, things like that. Executives are always going to want to tackle the most bang for the buck, right? First, yeah, you know, let's target our resources at this area. So yeah, you can have an approach like that, a piecemeal approach to give them a plan of attack. Because you bring something to an executive, okay, they're going to ask you, okay, how do we solve this? And if you don't have a plan, all right, you probably shouldn't be a CISO in the first place. So you bring them the numbers, and then you bring them your best plan of action, right?
Right. Yeah, and I guess the right answer is we call it low, but they might actually see it as a different level. So having a baseline with them, or having a regular what do they call that? Having an understanding of what their risks are, what they care about in terms of risks, might be helpful in that respect too. So, if all they worry about is, I want to make sure that all of the devices that we push out are on time and as secure as they possibly can be. Or, I want to make sure that we hit all of our sales quotas next year, or something like that. And, or, some like understanding what their goals are, you should be able to figure out what the risks are to those three things, and say, okay, yeah, this is going to, cause us to, miss our sales quotes, or this is going to cause us to lose a potential vendor or something like that. Having an understanding of what their, I hate using that fucking term North Star, but fucking North Stars. I mean, whoever thought of that needs to be yeeted into the goddamn sun. I swear. But yeah, whatever their guiding principles are, or whatever is the dog's ass that they're looking at every day or something. I don't know. Makes sense. But yeah. So okay. So assess cyber risk accurately, or as accurately as you can in your organization. Report the risks to the executives, and monitor continuously and report regularly. I like the reporting and continuously monitoring. Having even a dashboard or a spreadsheet or something that would, maybe a Jira ticket with the risk.
Maybe not.
What?
Yeah. Do you regularly report metrics to your management? Like every week?
Well, I kind of
Metrics.
do. I mean, we have a number of threats or risks that we keep track of in Jira, with on a Kanban that we use to show where they're at along the lines, and what the severity of them are, if they're going to be done for what we for launch, or for this thing that we're working on. So we kind of do. I mean, but we do have regular launch readiness meetings. We have I have one-on-ones with both my boss and my skip on the reg. And we meet with senior leadership once a month to talk about various things. So I think we communicate it, but there's always room for improvement, I think, which I think is probably fair for any organization.
I mean,
right.
we like, in that regard, I guess we've covered risks as far as not completing things on time.
Right.
Right. But that's not necessarily a risk as how I view it in this context.
Yeah.
I guess. Like, I would, at least in this, it would just be like cybersecurity risks of what you would think would happen to, because like we do tabletops and stuff.
Completing projects on time, or completing like the remediation of vulnerabilities on time?
No, this is just like projects and stuff.
Are your projects more like, you must create indicators of compromise for this new wiper malware? Or, I mean, what kind of levels are we talking about here? Is it like, hey, you've got a new product initiative coming out and it's going to launch in June 1st, and you've got these 10 things that need to be done, and, triaging those accordingly?
Yeah. So we have a rolling integration pipeline thing now, right? Where we're doing 3 new integrations a quarter, right? So basically 1 a month. And that involves like us getting access to software, us setting up in the lab, us doing threat research and looking at customer data and all of that kind of stuff. So like that's one type.
Right.
But the other types are like, hey, this new Jira vulnerability came out. How do we detect on that? And like those are different priorities and all of that kind of stuff. So
right.
I don't know how you really quantify the risk of a lot of that stuff.
Right.
Where it really matters at our scale.
Yeah. Yeah. I think it has to do
on
with
the projects. If you have a project and it's maybe 25%
Mm-hmm.
on the timeline, but only 10% on the completion, then there's a resource risk there. Right?
Sure. Yep.
Somehow you're not getting the resources that you need. So,
right.
There's, you should bring it up to management that, okay, this project is, 50% behind. So we're looking at a completion date far out. Right. And so they can attack the source of the problem quicker if they want to, based on, how they quantify that project.
Right. Yeah, and there's a lot of contextual stuff that goes into that too. So we just did like our first really big launch since we've been a company a couple weeks ago, and right leading up to that, there was a whole lot of stuff that was just like boom, 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 like right at the end. So it looked like the whole project was 75% completed, but that whole 25% was going to be done in like a few hours.
Yep.
Because it's like, all right, today's go live date. Now all of this stuff is completed.
Yeah. I've been in several meetings. Yeah. I've been in several meetings that were, all of my things were red. And then it was like, this will be done on the 15th of, the 15th of March. And it's like, red. And they're like, okay, well, we need to make sure, do we have any, I turn it to yellow because it's like, yes, we do have a way to go and everything. And how you do your red, amber, green is, certain things, but sometimes it's like, we don't really have a solution to this, but once we have one, it'll be easy to fix. And then it's like, we went from red to green, boom, or we went from red to yellow real quick. And then it took a little longer to go to green. Then we have people who want to make them chartreuse or, some shit like that. This is orange or this is,
pink.
Now it's just confusing.
Not really red.
Yeah. This is medium high. I'm like, look, it's high. There's no medium high. It's high. Okay. I know you're trying to not make this shit red. It's high. You can't put high in there. And not, and it's mostly somewhat in the area of green. It's trending green. I love that shit. It's trending green. I'm like, yes, it's been trending green for about 3 months now. So not so much. But yeah. I think some of the issues that I've had, and you really have to, if things aren't happening and there are risks involved security wise, communicating those, not with management necessarily, but with the people who are actually going to do them. In my job, I don't do anything. I direct people to do things, or, this is what you need to do. Please implement that. And getting them to understand and be on board with the same criticality that I'm giving it is my biggest hurdle. Otherwise it'll get stuck in the backlog and then never get done. So, being able to communicate that risk, not just with management, but the reason that it needs to get done to the developers or to, privacy or whoever. That's the biggest issue I've got. So one thing before we go, before we move on, thank you, Digital Warhead, so much for subscribing with your Prime subscription. Everybody who has an Amazon Prime account has a free subscription, which doesn't cost you anything. Yeah, Digital Warhead's been subscribing for 2 months now. So if you have an Amazon Prime account, you get a free Twitch sub that you can give to anybody, not just us, but you can give it to anybody who with a Twitch account. And it costs you nothing, and we get a kickback from Amazon for that, pretty much like the $5 if you bought a subscription. So thank you so much, Digital Warhead, for that. I do appreciate that. We appreciate that. And that was it for the news, as you have heard. If you, like I said before, come check us out, twitch.tv/breaksec. You can also find us on our YouTube channel and, and also our Slack and our Discords. If you are interested, there'll be a Discord invite link in our show notes, so you can join our Discord. If you want to join our Slack, you'll have to send us a DM to Twitter, or send us an email to bds.podcast@gmail.com and just say, hey, I'd like to join the Slack. So Miss Berlin is at InfoSystir, INFOSYSTIR. Mr. Betcher is at Betcherpwned, BOETTCHERPWNED. You can find me on Twitter at Brian Brake. I don't know how much longer some people will be on Twitter, but we'll see what happens. One of the news stories that came out as I'm recording this on the 25th was that somebody bought Twitter, Elon Musk. So depending on your level of outrage, you may not be using Twitch anymore or Twitter anymore. So we'll see what happens with that as we continue on. Miss Berlin can be also found at Hackers Health. If you're running a conference or you have an event where you think her mental health villages might improve or enhance your conference, please reach out to her on Hackers Health on Twitter. Or if you're looking to do incident response tabletop games, InfoSec Roleplay is the other Twitch handle you can find her at. And Mr. Betcher can be found at log-md.com, which is the tool that he's created. It's a Windows logging and forensics tool that can be used to help set up your environment properly to capture Windows logs. So breakingsecurity.com, BRAKEING security.com is our website, and that's it. So like I said, next week will be our McDouglas Part 2, where we're talking about some logging and some things that vex us about the InfoSec community and other things. So check out last week's show with him if you'd like. Hope everyone has a good week. Stay kind, be kind, and take care of yourselves. Because, as we're fond of saying, you're the only you have. And we'll talk to you again soon.